wonder what you'll find with an open mind. You may be surprised. Yeah, gotta get away from this illusion for the sake of the world. This delusion has gotta go. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of the Atheist Experience. I'm Matt Dillahunty. Joining me this week, Jen Peoples. We are live. It is Sunday, August 8th, 2010. Thank you all for tuning in. You can watch the show live and over the internet, something I realized that I've recently been forgetting to add to the announcements all the time. The information is available at the show's website, www.atheist-experience.com. There's information there on how to connect directly to the Ustream video that runs live in conjunction with the show. And there you can also find the archives. This is a live public access television program sponsored by the Atheist Community of Austin, a nonprofit educational organization promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. You can find out more about the ACA by visiting the website, www.atheist-community.org. And if you do not get, we do take live calls, and we'll have the telephone number for you very shortly. If you don't get through on the telephone line today, you can email us at tv@atheist-community.org. That email goes to myself, the co-host, some of the people behind the scenes, and we can't possibly promise to answer all of them. There's a bunch of announcements about upcoming events and everything else, but to get the basics out of the way, in addition to sponsoring this program, the ACA also sponsors a supposedly bi-weekly audio internet-only podcast that's currently on hiatus called The Nonprofits. You can go to nonprofitsradio.com, that's P-R-O-P-H-E-T-S, and you can find out more about the show. We are waiting for me to complete my move, and so Dillahunty International Studios will shift slightly, but we'll stay, in the same place as far as the rest of you are concerned, and we should be having live shows back close to mid to late September. So we're looking forward to getting that back. In the meantime, some people have been kind enough to put up kind of rogue guerrilla episodes of the Nonprofits, and you can check them out just as you always could as both a podcast or at the Nonprofits website. The ACA has weekly meetings every Sunday at Romeo's on Barton Springs Road, beginning around 11:30, except for the first Sunday of the month when we host our lecture series at the Austin History Center located at the corner of 9th and Guadalupe. Next month's lecture will be Dr. James D., and after that, I don't actually have the list. I think it's Brian Batting and then Eileen Flynn. The big events coming up, though, in addition, we have Atheist Happy Hour every Thursday at the Dog and Duck Pub, beginning at around 7 o'clock. Upcoming events, our annual Bat Cruise. Austin has the largest metropolitan bat population on the planet, and we go out and get a boat, go downtown, bring along some drinks in no glass containers, and food and snacks, and have a get-together, talk, chat, get a chance to meet other atheists. We have people coming in from out of town as well. That's going to be September 25th, 2010, at 6 p.m. for the Bat Cruise. Before the Bat Cruise, though, I'll be giving a lecture on the superiority of secular morality. That's going to be at the Unitarian Universalist Church, beginning around 3 p.m. You can go to the website to find more information about all of these events and other events that the ACA does. More importantly, you can go to the website to register for the Bat Cruise. Registration's open. There is a limited amount of space on this boat. We couldn't book the infinite boat, so not everybody can come, but we can take. I think we're shooting for 125, maybe a little extra. Yeah. So you might want to go ahead and get your registrations in as soon as you can. Other events that are coming up: the Texas Free Thought Convention is taking place October 8th through 10th in Dallas. You can go to texasfreethoughtconvention.com for more information and to register for that event. It's going to be bigger this year and better this year, we all hope. And I'll be up there, Jen will be up there, there's some other ACA board members that are up there. We're going to probably, the plan right now is to take up the Nonprofits gear, do some audio interviews with the guest speakers that are up there, and show highlighted clips from the TV show, and give out pamphlets, information, and just say hi and have a good time with all the other free thinkers in the area. As I mentioned last week, Americans United for Separation of Church and State is having a couple events coming up. I still don't have specific details, but stay tuned and I'll get them when I can. And that is near the end of August, the Reverend Stephen Baines is going to come down to talk about how religious and non-religious people can communicate more effectively to avoid, the controversy to focus on the issues where we agree. And October 18th, which is a Monday, the Reverend Barry Lynn, the director of Americans United, will be in the Austin area, speaking at the same UU church venue that I'll be at for September 25th. So once you find it for mine, you'll be able to find it for his, and we can, you know, do all these events together. And I think that's all of the announcements. I'm sure I missed something because it only took like 5 minutes, and normally it takes like 7 or 8. But
Oh, wow.
how you doing?
Good. I'm doing really good this week.
You're doing really good this week?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What are we talking about this week?
Well, before we get to my topic, which is agnostic delusions, wanted to mention that there was a federal court judge who ruled Prop 8 unconstitutional this week.
Oh, that doesn't matter.
That's like a watershed event
Yeah.
for marriage equality. And I'm still working my way through the decision. It's 136 pages or something, and so I'm not nearly there yet, but he's systematically dismantling the arguments against allowing gay people to marry. And I think this is going to go down as the Kitzmiller v. Dover decision of
Right.
the gay marriage argument. It's really huge.
Yeah, it may well do that. So it's at least a significant blow in the
Yeah.
equality front.
And some people have noted, Rachel Maddow was noting a few nights ago that the political right in this country has been largely silent on this issue. It's almost like they're looking at it like, wow, we can't use this anymore, which is amazing because that has been sort of the motivator to get people to the polls, is make them scared of gay people and get everybody out there. But anyway, so yeah, huge decision this week. I actually happened to be in Washington, D.C. When I heard about it. So I heard about it several hours after the fact, and I haven't been this excited about a court ruling since Lawrence v. Texas.
Yep.
So it's really huge.
And I remember somebody posted it on my Facebook page, like immediately after the decision was,
Yeah.
released, and that was good. That was a good use of my wall. There are non-good uses of my wall, which will be deleted
Yeah.
as quickly as I can get to them. But
Yeah, I have the same non-good uses of my wall. Invitations to play games, and it's like, oh, please, come on.
we're giving away a free iPad to the. No, you're not. Not on my wall. You're not.
Yeah.
Unless you want to give it to me, in which case, I'll happily accept an iPad. All right. So, you read an article that I read.
Yeah.
And I have been, I've been addressing issues lately. By the way, just because we don't do this very often, and this is kind of what today's show is going to end up being about. One of the questions or some of the questions that we get relate to why on earth would you guys do this in the first place? What's the big deal about, if you guys don't believe, why would you have a talk show where you talk about what you don't believe? And it's because we don't just talk about what we don't believe. Atheists are people too. We are social animals like anybody else, and we enjoy getting together. The ACA, the Atheist Community of Austin, that sponsors this program, has as its major edicts from the Constitution, from the ACA's Constitution, is to support church separation and to promote and support the atheist community in the Austin area. We just like to go above and beyond, and so in addition to dealing with issues and talking to people in the Austin area, we're now broadcasting and have been broadcasting the show live to the world, and answering calls and emails from all around the world. And it's partly educational, informational, and partly social. And what we find very often is that there continues to be confusion about what the various terms mean. I got an email or a message over Facebook just the other day by somebody who had no idea who we were and no idea what atheists were. We happened to post on somebody else's note, and then he sent me a private message, and he was like, "So, do atheists just not believe in God, or do they also not believe in these other gods?" And it was funny because in his mindset there was God and then other gods, and I was like, "Nope, don't believe in any of them." And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today as well.
Yeah, so this article that we both read, it's published on Slate magazine, And it was this guy, Ron Rosenbaum, who he calls it an agnostic manifesto. And the subtitle is, "At least we know what we don't know." And in this, he goes through a definition of agnosticism, and it becomes pretty clear in the very soon in the article that his main argument depends on an inaccurate definition of atheism, and he uses this to build up a straw man, which he then systematically, he thinks, demolishes with his
So in other words,
arguments.
he doesn't know what he doesn't know.
Exactly.
Good job.
And
Getting
it's
it wrong
actually
from the subtitle.
kind of humorous because he starts off by saying that agnosticism is not some kind of weak tea atheism. And I agree, they answer different questions. And we've talked about this many times. Atheism is about what you believe. Agnosticism is about what you know. And he goes on to say that agnosticism is radical skepticism, doubt in the possibility of certainty, opposition to the unwarranted certainties that atheism and theism offer. And so he's gone off the rails in the first paragraph here because atheism and theism do not entail any kind of certainties. You can find theists who are certain that they know that God exists, and they would be Gnostic theists. You can find a few atheists out there, I don't know very many, who would claim Gnostic atheism, and they are certain that they know God doesn't exist. And I think most people, both atheists and theists, will admit to some degree of uncertainty, at least if pressed. And I find that atheists are much more willing to admit some uncertainty than theists do. But he goes on to say that I believe it's important to define a distinct identity for agnosticism, to hold it apart from the certitudes of both theism and atheism. So again, he's not even understanding what these terms entail. There is no degree of certainty implied when you tell me that some God exists and I tell you that I don't believe because I don't find your evidence compelling. That isn't a claim of certainty in any sense. And he goes on to say that, indeed, agnostics see atheism as atheism, as much a faith-based creed as the most orthodox of the religious variety. And he says that atheists display a credulous and childlike faith, worship a certainty as yet unsupported by evidence, the certainty that they can or will be able to explain how and why the universe came into existence. And I have a note in my margin here, what utter bullshit. Because that's absolutely not what atheism entails. There's no faith, there's no creed, there's really no ism there. This is a rejection of a claim that some God exists, and that's all it is. It tells you what I don't believe, it doesn't tell you what I do believe. And his claim that this somehow means that we're worshiping science or that we have a certainty that we'll be able to explain how the universe came into existence, I'm perfectly willing to say that I don't know that we'll ever have an explanation for that, and I'm fine with that. But one of his questions that he keeps putting out there over and over again is, why is there something rather than nothing? And I actually find that to be kind of an absurd question, because first of all, it assumes that nothing is the default state. Maybe that is not the case. Then he claims that atheists have faith that science will tell us eventually. I don't have faith that science will tell us eventually. I have a justified belief that science is the very best method we've ever had of answering questions about how the world is. That's really the antithesis of faith. So he's got his terms all wrong, and he says that I just don't accept turning science into a new religion until it can show it has all the answers, which it hasn't and probably never will. And it's interesting because he's claiming that atheists require some kind of certainty,